and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new Stencils Lots of Hearts background. This is a set of 2 different stencils that help you create a multicolored heart background that is absolutely adorable. So let's go ahead and check it out. First up, we're going to start with a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to be doing this in a landscape style, but this background looks amazing on portrait as well. And so I'm just going to hold that in place with these magnets, or you could do that with some low tack tape, and then I'm going to add some ink on. And right now I'm using some fresh lavender ink, and I'm just inking all over these hearts. And I always try to not be completely perfect with my inking because I like when my hearts have darker areas and lighter areas because it gives them a really cool gradient. Then we're going to remove this first stencil, and you can see that this heart's background is absolutely adorable even with just one stencil. But we're going to take the second stencil and line that up over top. And all you need to do is just kind of look through, and you'll see I can kind of line it up where I'm going to put those hearts in all of the empty spaces. Then we can hold it back in place with our magnets and ink it up again. And this time I'm going to be using some bubble gum ink, and I really love this pink and purple for Valentine's. It's really cute and pretty. And so I'm going to ink over all of these hearts. Once again, making sure that I've got some areas that are darker and some that are lighter just to have a cool gradient on my card. And we can lift up that stencil and see the beautiful pattern that we created. It's just so cute and so much fun. It's perfect for Valentine's and really for all year too. Now this is a really bold way to use it with a multicolored look, but I wanted to show you a more subtle way to use this background. So here I have some pattern paper. It's from the Watercolor Wishes. It's the birthday candles color, and it's this really beautiful turquoisey sky color. And I'm taking some Minty Fresh ink and I'm just inking over my stencil. And now I'm going to get the second stencil, but I'm going to keep with the same color of ink. So this is a more subtle way because we're going with the same color of ink. I'm also inking a little bit lighter with this second stencil because I just wanted to show you the difference of having a light hand versus a dark hand. So you can see some of the hearts are lighter and some are darker. If I was doing this for a card, I would have kept them all with the light hand because it's going to give it this really beautiful kind of subtle look and subtle pattern to the sky. This more subtle look is really great for adding into backgrounds and into skies. And here is a card where you can see that we did that. We used some kiddie pool ink over some of that birthday candles paper, and we actually only used one of the stencils. It creates this really subtle heart pattern that is absolutely adorable with those skunks. It's just a fun way to add something extra to a Valentine's Day card. Now it's time to create a card with these fun stencils, and we're going to be creating a mini slimline card, and I'm going to take the largest of the small mini slimline dies, and we're going to die cut that out of some Bristol smooth cardstock so that we can do some ink blending with distress inks. And we're going to be using tattered rose, festive berries, and warm lipstick to create this really cool pink gradient. And we are recreating a card by Megan today, so thank you so much, Megan, because this card is so much fun and I had such a blast creating it. To create a more seamless blend, I'm going back and forth between my 2 colors, so my medium pink and then my light pink, and then we're going to take the darkest pink and go in the edges, and once again go back through all of the colors. So now I've got my medium, and then we'll get our light, just to create this really great pink gradient blend. Now we're going to do some stenciling, and we're going to be combining 2 of the ideas from the beginning, and that's stenciling over a gradient. Last time we had a pattern paper, this time we created the gradient ourselves, and then we're also going to be doing 2 different colors of hearts, although not quite as different as the pink and the purple. We're going to be doing the festive berries color and then the worn lipstick color over top. So here we've got the darker color, and we're going to layer this all over top, and you'll see when we lift the stencil, oh my gosh, I was so excited when I lifted the stencil. I mean, look how pretty that is. Oh, it's gorgeous. Now we're going to take the second stencil and we're going to go in with our medium pink with that stencil to fill in the rest of those hearts. Now I think if I was doing this card again, I would either use the original distress inks or lawnfawn inks because these oxide inks ended up really kind of drying more subtle than I wanted them, but it's still really, really pretty. But if I create a background like this again, I'm going to try using a lawnfawn ink or a distress ink instead of the oxide over top, and I think that'll give it an even more bold look. So now we're just going to add that medium pink color and lift up. And I mean, look how pretty. Oh, for goodness sakes, I just love it so much. Now that we've got our beautiful background done, we're going to work on some grass. So I went ahead and die cut that same sized mini slimline stackable, and we're going to die cut that with the grassy border die. And then we're just going to do some ink blending on this with some freshly cut grass ink, just so that we have a really nice blending look on this grass so that it really coordinates with our ink blended sky. And I'm just using one color of ink, and I'm just doing some areas darker and some areas lighter just for kind of a fun, real grass look. And then we can layer that right over top of that pattern, and oh my goodness, it looks just so beautiful. Next up, we're going to use a stencil paste in a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to take the Fairy Dust Stencil Paste, which is a really clear, beautiful glitter, and I'm just going to smear it onto my cardstock. I did this kind of finger painting style, but you could use a spatula or something, but I smeared it all over this cardstock. And then I went ahead and set it to dry, and it actually dried while I was ink blending that background and doing the grass and all of that. And so it just didn't take too long, but just a little bit to dry. And once it dried, I ran it through the die cut machine with the giant XOXO die. And once you run that through, oh my goodness, look how beautiful this is. So it's kind of like a custom color of glitter cardstock. It's a really fun way to take your favorite color of cardstock and just make it super sparkly. Then I'm going to take some tape runner to the back of this XOXO, and it's going to go right in the middle of our scene here. And all of our little characters and images are going to surround the giant XOXO. Now, one of the things that I love that Megan did with this card is she brought out some sets from Christmas and made them Valentine's, which is absolutely amazing. Next up, we're going to take out the Furry and Bright stamp set, and we're going to use the I Ref You sentiment in it. We're going to stamp in some clear embossing ink, and we're going to sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder and heat it up with the heat tool to get a bright white shiny sentiment. And you'll see that I stamped it twice. I have a tendency to do that when I'm heat embossing, and then I just pick whichever one turns out the best. I don't know if you guys do that too, but I decided I liked the bottom one better, and so we're going to die cut that with a sentiment banner die. Now, I didn't have a sentiment banner die that was quite small enough for this tiny sentiment, so I'm going to die cut it once, and then I'm going to line up the right end there with the right end of the sentiment, hold that in place with some low-tuck tape, and run it through the die cut machine. And so by doing this, you can create a custom-sized, perfectly cut banner every single time. So we went ahead and stamped, colored, and die cut images from Furry and Bright, and we also took out some other holiday sets. So we took out the Christmas Dream stamp set because there's a cute little bone present in there that's a little bit smaller than the one that's in Furry and Bright. And then we also took out the Joy to All stamp set, and we're going to be using a cute little puppy from that. And then to give us some cute little hearts, we're going to be going into our Sent with Love stamp set to help turn these holiday sets into Valentine's sets. And I love getting to do stuff like this. So now that we have all of our images, we're going to start layering these onto the card. So first up, we're going to add the I Ref You sentiment to the very top there, and then we're going to start layering some of the pieces. And so we took a bow that was from Sent with Love, and we're going to put the bows on the puppy dogs as a little hair bow and also as a bow tie. Then we're going to add some foam squares to the back of the pups and layer those onto the card. That's way they really stand out and kind of are the star of the show on the card. And then we can start to layer some of the other elements. So we have those cute tiny little bones that we're going to layer behind the pups as if they're bringing those to each other for Valentine's Day. And then we'll take the larger bone present and we're going to add a foam square behind that as well and center that right underneath the giant XOXO. And then we're going to start layering on some of these cute little hearts all over the card. So we're just going to kind of sprinkle these around. And at first I started with fewer hearts, and then I added some more later on because I kind of wanted to wait and see how the whole card turned out. So I'm going to layer the little speech bubble with a heart and then a couple little die cut hearts around these adorable little pups. Then next up, we're going to take the largest of the large mini slimline dies, and we're going to die cut that of white cardstock, and that's going to be a layer behind our scene. But we're going to do something a little bit different here. And what's really fun about a size like a mini slimline is you can really play around with it. So our largest size of mini slimline is 3 inches by 6 inches, but I decided I wanted another panel over top of this. And so we're going to create a panel that's actually 3¼ by 6¼ and that's going to be going all around the base of this. And so it's going to make it a little bit larger than the more kind of standard mini slimline size, but that's totally okay because we're just having fun experimenting with new different sizes of cards. And look how cool that is. So we're just making a slightly larger mini slimline card. So we're going to layer our whole panel over top. of that beautiful red stripe pattern paper, and you can see that it just brings the whole card in together, and I really love this larger size. Now for our card base, we're going to be cutting a piece, and that's going to be 6.5 by 6.25, and then we're going to score at 3.25, and that's what's going to give us our perfect size card for this slightly larger mini slimline card. I'm going to secure that fold there with my bone folder, add some tape runner to that, and then we can layer our entire card front right on top. And to finish the card off, we're going to add a couple more of those little hearts just sprinkled around, and then this card is all done. I loved making that beautiful background with the stencil. It was so much fun to play with my inks, and those glitter letters are adorable, and it's so awesome to take holiday sets and turn them into other occasions. So next up, Shari is going to create a really incredible rainbow background with this stencil. So take it away, Shari.
For my card today, I'm using the new Lots of Heart background stencils. I love these stencils and the hearts with all the different sizes. I have cut a piece of white cardstock with the largest of the outside in stitch rectangles, and this is what I'm going to be doing my inking on. I'm using my Make Art Station. I've put a little bit of removable adhesive on the back of this rectangle, and I'm just going to use that to stick it down to my mat. And then I'm going to line up my first stencil, and I'll hold that in place with the magnets. Now I like to use the grid on this mat to make sure everything's nice and straight. Not that it really matters because these hearts go in every direction, which is what makes them awesome. And I'm going to start out with some warm colors. You can see I've picked out 6 rainbow colors of ink there. So I'm starting out with my warm colors with this first stencil. So I've got some guava ink here, and I'm doing my guava hearts basically in the 2 corners, and then I'm going to work my way towards the center. Next, I'm going in with the carrot, and I'll do sort of another line of color, working my way towards the center. And then I'm going to finish off with a yellow color in the center with some sunflower ink. Now you could do all the rainbow colors as well, and then when you put the second stencil on, repeat and get a nice ombre rainbow. I wanted to see kind of what this looked like, so all the hearts on this stencil are my warm colors in my rainbow color palette, and then the next stencil I'll do the cool colors. So you're going to get a nice mix of hearts with this technique. And then I can just go back in with the orange or the pink and kind of blend them together. I really like those hearts that kind of have 2 colors overlapping. Now I'm going to layer on the second stencil. You can see how the hearts in this stencil, they fall right in the negative spaces left by the first stencil. And for this one, I'm going to start with my purple and do the corners where my guava was. I felt that the purple and the pink probably looked a lot better beside each other than just working down the same colors and doing green beside pink. So I decided to kind of work in the opposite direction with my cool colors. So I've got some grape jelly ink. That's what's going in the corners of this particular stencil. Then I'm going to move on to some merman ink for my blue or teal. And I'm putting that sort of in the same striped area where the orange was from the first stencil. And then next I'll move on to some green. This is freshly cut grass. I am going to kind of use a paper towel. It's a dry paper towel to wipe off some of that purple. I felt like when I was doing the teal color, I was grabbing a little bit too much of the purple because it was on the stencil and it was muddying up my color a little bit. So just to avoid that, if you feel like that's happening, you can just kind of dry wipe that off with a paper towel. Then I'm adding my green, and then I'm actually going to go back in with the blue and pull it into the green a little bit more, because when I removed my stencil, I felt like I had a lot more green than I had blue. So I'm just lining it back up and adding some more of that blue into the green, so you kind of get this real bluish green color. So you can always line those stencils back up and add a little bit more color. I ended up doing the same with my warm colors because once I had those cool colors on there, which I felt were a little darker, I felt like my oranges and my pinks were a little too pastel. So what I actually did was added some fake tan in, which is a bit darker than the carrot. And I just felt like this little bit of detail going back and doing this made those hearts stand out even more. It kind of helped them match the darkness of the greens and the blues that I had put down. So I've cleaned off my stencils and I'm going to add some glitter paste. This is some fairy dust paste. It would be fun to add that right over those colored hearts, but I thought it would also be fun to get a bit of a different look. So I've taken my stencil and I've turned it 90 degrees so you can see none of those heart openings line up with anything that I inked before. And then I'm just going to put a layer of this glitter paste over the whole stencil. So this fairy dust paste is clear with some glitter. So you're going to see all those inky colors shine right through that paste because it's clear. But then you're going to get this layer of glittered hearts that's just layered over top of the ones that I already inked. And it's just a really fun look. So I've got this all spread and I'm going to pull that off very carefully, and then you're going to see there's kind of just this extra layer of hearts, and because they're clear, they don't distract too much from the ones I've already inked, but they give you a really fun glitter and shimmer effect. So I'll just set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to work on the other pieces of my card. So I've got those little hugging skunks from Scent with Love, and then I've pulled out a favorite set of mine that I haven't used in a while, which is Chit Chat, which has these really fun speech bubbles with the messages inside. So I chose the misuse sentiment. I really like that there are solid ones and open ones in this set. I'm going to white emboss this one on black since it's a nice open speech bubble, and it's going to stand out really well against that rainbow background I created. I feel like the design of this card you could use with any of those sentiments in that set. This is just the one that I chose to go with my little hugging skunks. And I've just used some clear embossing ink on that black, the white embossing powder, and heated it up with my heat tool. And there's also coordinating dies so I can cut each of these speech bubbles out so I'll get the perfect cut of this little Miss You bubble. Now that my background's all dry, I've put some foam tape all over the back and I'm putting it onto a black card base so I have that little thin black frame around it that's going to match my sentiment. I'm adding some foam adhesive to the back of my skunks and my little sentiment, and I just love the simplicity of this card, and you get that nice background that I created that really stands out. I did add a few little black die cut hearts around just to kind of fill in a little bit and match that dark sentiment. And then this is my finished card. And like I said before, you could use any of those sentiments in that Chit Chat set, and this would be a perfect card to send to somebody for any occasion.
This card is so beautiful, Shari, and I absolutely love how you added those glitter hearts. It really makes the whole card so special. And next up, we have some beautiful cards by the design team. And first up, this card by Mindy is so much fun. I love that she did her hearts in the traditional pink and red. I just love the look of these gold hearts on Elise's card, and she used some of the gold stencil paste to give it a really cool metallic look. Here is the card by Megan that inspired me to make mine today. Oh my goodness, I just adore it. It's just so fun and so happy. And then next up, Melissa is going to blow you away with this beautiful custom album she made. She used some of our scalloped heart dies and layered different die cuts and stencils and paper and photos to make such a beautiful gift. This would make someone's day. I love that Audrey used her hearts to fill her sky, and she did this beautiful bluey purpley color that's just stunning, and it's such a great way to add texture to your scenes. This card by Grace is just so cute. She used our tiny gift box skunk add-on, and that purple to pink background is just stunning. And here Letitia created a beautiful shaker card and made her background be the Lots of Hearts background stencil, and I think it looks so gorgeous, and I love that peachy pink with the red. So we can't wait to see how you guys use this stencil, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!